You're listening to the Deep Purple Podcast, a fan podcast about one of the most legendary bands of all time, Deep Purple. We take a look at the music, history, and people behind the band Deep Purple and beyond. Welcome to the Deep Purple Podcast, the first and only podcast devoted to one of the greatest bands in rock history, Deep Purple. Today's episode is episode number 141, the 2021 New Year special. And coming to you from the sickly suburbs of Chicago, I'm your host, Nathan Beaudry.
And coming to you from the suburbs of Providence, I'm your co-host, John Buffalo Bills Matola.
Oh my, what? That's an unexpected one.
You're like, what? Huh?
Coming from you, that's an unexpected one.
Yeah. Well, come on. Didn't you know that the Patriots are versus the Buffalo Bills tonight at 8:15 Eastern Central Time? Eastern Standard Time?
No, I did not.
Well,
know that.
I do, because for some reason the New England Patriots schedule is on my calendar, and I keep getting notifications about it.
Like in your Google Calendar or something?
Yeah. I think that for work purposes, for like remembering for certain things for work, I had to I put it in there maybe a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I do that too at work, so that I can make sure that people get those days off, because I don't give a crap. So like, right. I just basically just agreed upon that if there's a Bears game playing, I will work because I don't care.
Right. Which it doesn't really mean as much anymore, because nobody seems to care about the Patriots anymore. I never did, but it's like if they were playing like around here, they'd be like, it's just like big deal. So, I mean, it's easy enough to, I guess, delete the calendar or turn off the notifications, but I do anyway, sometimes just to blow my dad's mind, to be like, hey, you watching the game tonight? He's like, hey, how do you know about that?
How do you know about that? That's confidential.
It's from him. It's more like, how do you know that? Like, kind of how you were shocked. You're like, how does he know that?
Yeah, I was just, it's unexpected. And I used to remember it must have been 97. I don't know for sure, 96 or 97. The Patriots made it to the Super Bowl and lost. And I was working at a restaurant at the time, and we were planning like the party for if they won. So we had a bunch of shirts that said New England Patriots Super Bowl champions, and I used to wear it for years. It's just it would just get a lot. I mean, this was a few 5 to 10 years later, no one would have batted an eye, but people would look at it and be like, they've never won the Super Bowl. What is that? It was just it was like one of my favorite t-shirts to wear around, because A, I didn't give a crap about the Patriots, and B, it was proclaiming that they won the 1997 or 96 Super Bowl, whatever it was.
That'd be great.
Every so often I'll come across a picture from that era, and I'm wearing that shirt, and it brings back fond memories.
At the time, it would be hilarious. He'd be like walking around with that shirt and be like, what a dick. Look at him. They didn't win. Look at him gloating. He even made a t-shirt about it to like make fun of him.
He made a custom t-shirt. But yeah, of course, obviously they put that stuff on right after the game, so they have them all ready in both scenarios, whichever scenario plays out. Usually they ship them to third world countries, but for some reason I was able to get it because I worked at the restaurant. But yeah, we the kids are getting over their second dose of the vaccine. They've been a little sick, and I've been a little bit under the weather myself. So
is that why it's the sickly suburbs?
To celebrate the new year, I've got a nice champagne flute filled with ginger ale. So, let me just
Nothing cures the ailments more like a little bubbly.
Oh yes, you can really taste the terroir in there. Coming to you, we're wrapping up the year here, and before we move on, of course, we have to do something, which is to tell you about how you can support the show if you are interested in supporting the show. If you get value, if you look over the past 2021 and say, wow, this show is something I listened to on my way to work, while I was working out, while I was doing the chores, and it really helped pass the time, and I had a blast listening to it. And you can help support us for as little as $1 a month via Patreon or PayPal. The links are all in the show notes, deeppurplepodcast.com. You can also buy merch at our Etsy store, and you can leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. We haven't got one of those in a while, and the Flexitone lies dormant still. Let's see, it's been silent, and this Flexitone goes wild for 5-star reviews. So if you want to hear the Flexitone back in action,
It does.
I would recommend you write one of those reviews. And that's another thing, you know, I know with me, if I'm listening to podcasts and they're like, leave us a review, I'm driving and I'm like, oh, I've got to remember to do that, and I never do. So make yourself a note, figure out some way you can remember, and make sure it would really help us. Also, Apple's lost like a bunch of our episodes, so I'm trying to figure that out too. It's lost like 100 episodes, and no idea why. Every other podcast service seems to have them all, and you contact Apple, and good luck with that. So I'll reach out to them again, and hopefully we can get that resolved, because that's how a lot of people listen. So yeah. So speaking of our patrons, heyo, we have a new, well, not a new patron, but an upgrade, a patron upgrade. Rafcaf is upgrading to and creating a new tier, the $3.33 halfway to evil tier. So thank you, Rafcaf, for that. We really appreciate your support, so helping support the Deep Purple podcast over all this time. We really appreciate it. And then, of course, coming in at the executive level, we have the 10-pound tier, Dr. Jill Brees. At the turn it up to $11 tier, we have Clay Wambacher, Frank Teelgard Mortensen, Alan A. Too Proud to Beg. Oops. Skipped over there. Victor Campos, and of course, Better Call Saul Evans. And at the $9.99 executive assistant tier, none other than Richard Fusey. Thank you so much to all of you for your generous support of the show. And here we are, our last show of 2021, but kicking off the new year very early in, we will be in Florida. Hollywood Matola will be arriving in Florida on his birthday to go see Deep Purple at the Hard Rock Live Arena. So if you want to meet John and say happy birthday to him in person, get some tickets. There should be some still available.
I like that nickname, Hollywood Matola. I think we should just start calling me that from now on.
It should be like Hollywood and then parentheses Florida Matola. You're not quite California Hollywood, but you're Florida Hollywood.
I'd rather be nothing.
Then, of course, 2 days later, February 12th, my dad's birthday in St. Petersburg, Florida, at the Mahaffey Theater. Come meet us down in the Sunshine State for some wonderful Deep Purple shows. It should be a blast. If you're looking for other like-minded shows, check out Deep Purple, Deep Dive Podcast Network.com for all of the information to our brother and sister shows. I guess they're all brother shows. We need, come on, ladies. We need some female deep dive podcasts to keep us, to keep this boys club in line. So please go check out some of those shows.
Yeah. Right. Where's like the deep dive on, like, the Runaways or Girl School or something?
Well, right. Yeah, that's true. I was thinking just female hosts, but yeah, female bands as well.
Yeah, and who better,
There is, of course, that great podcast about the band Fanny by the band themselves, which is you could check out, which is pretty cool. The first all-female band signed to a major label. They rock. If you look up some of their videos on YouTube, great stuff. All right, so this year we put it out there on social media to just get we're going to talk over some of our highlights from the year, and then we're going to talk about maybe doing some speculation or predictions for the year ahead for 2022. I don't know, is it misleading that we're calling this the 2021 New Year special? Are people going to not know which year it is? I always get confused every year. Like, I guess it's the 2021 year in review. So
yeah, 2021 wrap up. 2021
wrap up. All right, so put it all out there on all sorts of channels. Let's get into some YouTube comments. So let's see here. So Scott Haskin writes, his best moment is John not getting murdered by the suspicious woman that lives near you. That is a good moment. John not getting murdered is always a highlight.
Well, you mean from Mr.
The Mr. Bell doll lady, yeah.
She's disappeared. Either that or it's been the too
not
cold.
Surprising. People like that often just disappear, which is good.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, it's just like she'd have this uncanny way of just showing up. Like I'd be pulling in, and then all of a sudden it's like she'd just come out the front door to check the mailbox, and I'd be like, oh, shit, because it's like I don't want to talk to this lady. Um, or like I'd be like walking out the door, and like, and then I'd hear her door open from upstairs, and I'd be like, I don't want to bump into this broad in the hallway, like type of thing. It's just like I don't want to talk to my
I
neighbors.
just imagine like you go out to check the mail, and then it's one of those scenarios where you look like across the parking lot and there's nobody there, and then like a bus or a truck drives by, and then when it's done pulling through, she's standing there with the Mr. Bill doll.
like an Amazon truck goes by. And
Yeah, exactly. And then she's just there. Whoa, where'd you come from?
and she's like, yeah, no, she's not I don't know. She's probably like listening. She's probably listening at ear to the wall right now or something, but
so what else we got here? Jasor Makamov, hopefully I'm pronouncing your name correctly, who I think he has the most recent review. Says, not to brag or anything, but in 2021 I listened to over 3,000 minutes of this podcast just on Spotify alone.
Wow.
So there you go. And he said,
Okay.
he mentions that his favorite song was King of Dreams, but that's besides the point. So he says he's looking forward to more episodes and seeing there's so much ground to cover. It's going to be a fun ride.
Nice.
So pretty cool. And we got another one. Frederick X sent something. He said like 22,000 minutes listening to the Deep Purple podcast this year.
Have we talked that much? Like
apparently. Well, I think the thing is I did a binge listen, probably like maybe discovered the show this year and then got all caught up.
Yeah.
So thank you to all of you. Yeah. And a few people were posting their Spotify, what do you call it? The Spotify year wrap up or whatever.
Yeah. Did I share with you the LimeWire wrap up?
Yes.
Oh, that was so funny. Like Bill Clinton MP3.
Yeah, what does that even mean?
Well, do you remember like when you like on like LimeWire or Napster or whatever, and you would like download a song and it would like, I don't know, 9 times out of 10, it would just be like, it would be the MP3 of like a guy doing a Bill Clinton impression. He'd be like, I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Oh, really? I don't remember that.
Oh, I remember like all the time. I'd be like, all right, I got like a new Deep Purple song. And then I'd be over and then I hit it and he'd be like, my fellow Americans, I did not have sexual relations with that woman. And be like, ah, damn it again.
This guy got me again.
It's like getting, it's like getting Rick rolled, except I got Bill rolled. Not Mr. Bill rolled, but
no, that's death. But I just remember like was it like Anna Kournikova dot whatever, like the emails, they'd be like, oh, check out this, we've got a video of Anna Kournikova when she was like the thing that just no one could resist, and there'd be like instant brick your computer virus, all the viruses in the world installed. People are like, a video of Anna Kournikova, like, what do you think's going to be in that video? I was like, her playing. It'd be great if you just actually sent people like videos of her playing tennis. Oh, this is a great serve, check it out. Like, oh, so glad I didn't infect my computer with viruses this year. Going to where are we here? Going to no, that's not it. Here we go. Oh, did I miss? I think I must have missed one here. Going to Twitter, where we got a little bit of take me a second to find this one. Twitter, bunch of people mentioned favorite moments on Twitter. Let's see what they have to say. Did I scroll back too far here? Had this all set up, and of course I messed it up. Here we go. Favorite moments. Here we go. Arthur Smith. The one that sticks with me is the Straight Between the Eyes episode. I'd forgotten how good the album was, cover aside, and realized that it's aged really well too. I would say I would agree with that one. Yeah, that was definitely I think in this year I have probably come around a little more on the JLT stuff than I had before. which
Me
makes me,
too.
interested. Not to give too much away, but Slaves and Masters has not been historically my favorite Deep Purple album, so it makes me interested when we actually finish the JLTR of Rainbow and go into Deep Purple. What's that going to be like? Is it gonna, how are my feelings going to be on that? So when we really sit down to look at it critically.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I would say, if I remember that episode right, I was very surprised at how much I enjoyed the album and how mad I was at myself for avoiding it for so many years because of the cover.
Absolutely. Joe from Sabbath fans says, my favorite moment isn't from any particular episode. It was the fact that the episodes I listened to have turned my opinions around on several records. Most notably, Come Taste the Band. He mentions that all the time, that it's like one of his favorites when he didn't really give it too much. And actually, I saw somebody posting the other day that it's like, they said, one of the groups, somebody's like, Come Taste the Band is an awful album. It's like, I played it once and I put it back in its sleeve and it's been there for the last 45 years. I'm like, really? Like that's fine if you didn't like it, but you're really going to just you're going to stick by that for 45 years and just be like, nope, there's no way, this is garbage. I'm never listening to it again. Like, wouldn't you want to recalibrate?
Yeah, I feel like as I've gotten older, I've given a lot of music that I thought was not good a chance.
Yep.
And been like, wow, why have I been sleeping on this for so long? Or things that I remember just being like lukewarm or like ambivalent toward and being like, wow, this is actually like really good.
Yeah, or it could just be, or like something you just have this like weird visceral reaction to, and then you listen to it and you're like, this is not that bad. I don't know what I was getting to. Especially when you form those opinions when you're like a teenager, like we've talked about before, like, that's stupid and sucks. And then you actually give it a try later and you're like, it's not that bad. And I mean, I would encourage, I don't know who that guy was, I don't even remember who it was, but it's just amazing that you would form an opinion 45 years later, just hold strong to it, knowing that you haven't ever have you changed at all in the last 45 years? You might want to try giving it another go. Like, sometimes I find that in 5 or 10 years, never mind 45.
I mean, I recently tried, like we were talking about Nirvana, and I tried,
yep.
and I was like, I got like halfway through one song and I'm like, no, even the guitar sounds like it's whining and depressed. Like I can't like, and I played it on YouTube because I didn't want Spotify to put any of that into the algorithm of like even thinking it's one of my favorite songs. I refused. So
delete.
I tried. I couldn't.
Nevermind is one of those albums I review like every 10 years. I revisit it, and I'm probably due to do it again. But last time I did it, I don't get it. Like a lot of those other bands, like Alice in Chains, Stone Temple Pilots, there's a lot of stuff by them that I really like. Even in the moment I liked, but yeah, I never understood Nevermind. And it's just, it's something that's, I guess if you were in the right frame of mind at the right time and that struck you, then it struck a chord, and maybe you enjoy it, but it just, it didn't work for me still.
Well, same with Come Taste the Band, I mean, I don't know. I just, I don't know what it was. I mean, I didn't really have any, I mean, at the time when I first discovered it, probably like you did, I mean, I didn't have any kind of like leanings toward Coverdale or Hughes, or I didn't know who Tommy Bolin was really, except that, he was a different guitar player. So I wasn't just like, oh, this isn't, them from before. I was just excited to hear it. And then when I did, I'm like, this is really great shit.
And that's probably why that happened, is you didn't have those preconceived notions of what Deep Purple was supposed to be, because it was all out there already for you. Yeah. I just remember the first time I heard Come Taste the Band, just being like, this is what I've been missing in my life. Just like when you hear something that you're just like, this is exactly what I want and what I need. And so yeah, I never had any other experience other than that. But it was the same thing as discovering, I mean, I just discovered all the other Deep Purple before that, but I didn't have to wait from 1968 to 1975 to get to there. It was probably only like a year or two later that I started hearing that stuff.
Yeah, right. I mean, I guess if you started off with, Rod Evans, and then you wound up, at David Coverdale, like that's in real time. I mean, that's really different. So.
Right. Then Joe finishes off. Also, I enjoy screaming at the ratings in the car. How the frick can you rate this a 5? What's wrong with you? So there you go. I'm sure Joe's
He
not
didn't-
alone
he-
in that one.
No, Rich has also expressed that
No,
quite a bit. Oh yeah, really? I know you're shocked.
it's very shocking to hear that. So Peter Gardeau writes, a fine year of episodes overall. Enjoyed being part of some of the live episodes. However, the main pizzeria review stands out as a 5 Dirty Grinder episode. What a coincidence. Ordered out some Japanese tonight. A LOL moment for me when I read this menu item, not rude. So I don't have the screen sharing up, but actually let me throw this to the screen share because he picks out this this restaurant review that you might find kind of interesting. So here we go. Where is it? I have saved it. No, I can't find it. Is this it? Nope. This monitor is too big. Oh, it's because it's the wrong computer. I'm an idiot.
Oh,
Never mind.
boy.
I'll send it to you.
Oh
send it to you
boy,
later.
technical difficulties.
I'll put a link in the show notes, but it's
There we
it
go.
says it's blacked out and it says Japanese restaurant somewhere in Connecticut. Salads, the dirty salad. Seaweed salad. He circled the dirty salad, so I can't see what the second ingredient is. Sweet seaweed salad, something, and cucumber mixed with spicy mayo and masago. $9.
The dirty salad.
Dirty is not really a word you want to. I remember that place New Hong Kong that we used to go to. It was like downtown where I lived. We used to get stuff from there all the time. We'd go get takeout, and
I can't really.
one of the menu items was Old Wind chicken. I always it just sounded like a fart, like you were just like marinating it in old farts. Old Wind, like you fart in a jar with the chicken and you seal it up real quick so it stays in there, and you serve it a few days later.
Right, you just put the chicken in there and then like cover it up, in a mason jar.
It's one of those things that some of the stuff just doesn't I'm sure it sounds great in Mandarin or whatever, but when you translate it, it's like, maybe we need to have a few different sizzle words in that to really to stop moving that dish, because this isn't gonna work. Old Wind chicken.
I like that.
Every time I think about that, at least, I don't know, once a week for the past like 25 years. It's one of those things that's just ingrained in my brain. Next up, we got a comment from David Liao, who says the Turn It to Crime original stream was the highlight for me. So going recent on that one. That was so much fun. I also enjoyed the variety in the episodes this year, like the Burn isolated tracks or Roger on MTV, as well as the recent ones on Ritchie's ES335. So cool. Yeah, I've had a few people comment that they really like the variety, and we try to not just do one album after another and try to come up with any weird topics we can. So
the review after review after review, can get a little monotonous. So when we, pick something where it can be more like a conversation, or like even like an episode like this, where it's not listening to an album front to back, it's it's a nice change of pace.
Yeah,
us
and
too,
I think it keeps it fresh for us, and makes me, when we get to an album review, like maybe we do every other episode as an album review, when we get to one, I'm excited to do it. But if you do 5, 6, 10 of those in a row, sometimes it seems it can get a little formulaic and it can get a little stale for us too. So
yeah.
Robert Smith writes, the Burn isolated tracks was a great episode, but for me, it's hard to beat John's reactions during the Warhorse episode. Yep.
I don't even, that's a funny thing, is I don't even remember. So it's like, I'm sure no, wait a minute. Do we only do one this year, or do we do two?
No, we only did one Warhorse episode.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's, there are times where like I'll be sometimes I'll listen back, like to at least maybe the beginning to see how our episode came out. And like sometimes it's like, your commentary on what I'm doing is funny, because I'm just like, I don't even realize it. You'll be like, all right, and then you'll just start laughing. You're like, John rolled his eyes.
Yeah, because I'm seeing you like I'll never the first Warhorse episode we did, which was very early on. I remember we were about, I don't know, 30 seconds into the song, and the singer starts singing, and you just went, ugh. Right off the bat. You're like, oh boy, it's gonna be a long one. Steve Hunt writes in, I really like the 2 episodes on the House of Blue Light and the Turning to Crime Originals live chat. Getting to comment in real time along with you guys was fun. Oh, it's always good to hear Nate's impression of the record label boss. That's always a fun one.
Yeah, we've created a couple of fun characters.
Recurring
That's one of
characters. Yeah, we're gonna lose our shirts on this one. Ship it. Doesn't matter.
What's it? The James Caan from Elf inspired record executive.
Yeah, it's just basically James Caan from Elf, who was on your TV during our last Christmas episode before we started recording. It was paused on James Caan just sitting at his desk. Should have just left that instead of putting up the fireplace.
You're like, is that James Caan? It's like, yeah.
Yeah, he's just paused. He's not even moving. What else do we got here? Kev Roberts writes in, loved the Made in Europe episode. So thank you. That was a fun one. We were looking forward to that one for sure. And that was probably one of the ones we had been most requested. People just kept asking for that one again and again.
Well, it was a fun album to review, and it's a great album, and fun listen.
Absolutely. Frederick X says, oh yes, Chris and Rye, awesome guests. So there you go. And Frederick is the one I just mentioned, who listened to 22,000 hours of Deep Purple podcasts this year. So if anyone knows, it should be him.
He'll know.
Let's see, what else do we got here? Coming in on Instagram, Michael Joseph Music writes one word favorite moment of 2021: flaps.
From Blizzard of Oz.
Yeah, flaps. That was a good one. Yeah, so if you want to, that's from our Blizzard of Oz episode. If you haven't listened, do we get into a little bit of discussion about Ozzy just going flaps?
Flaps.
Okay, what else do we got here? Any others on? That might be it for the Instagram. Going over to Facebook, Fielding Fowler. I was he says the live streams are awesome. Do more. So yeah, I think we figured that out, and I think we figured out a good way to do it with YouTube, and I think we could do that a little more seamlessly this time. Although it was interesting, we did our our originals preview of YouTube on YouTube, and we had like some technical difficulties, and we started like an hour late, which is a real bummer, because the folks that were like gonna push it and stay up a little later in the UK or whatever, it pushed them to the edge where they're like, sorry, we can't do it anymore because it's just too late to start. So that was something I was bummed about. But more recently, Deep Purple did like a listen along and scheduled it, and they had problems too, and had to reschedule it. So
oh boy.
So at least I was like, it's not just us. Fielding Fowler also says I was so anyway, yeah, I think we definitely, especially with the live albums or concerts, like watching a concert video or something, we'll definitely be doing that in the future.
Yeah, I would say I was just looking here, and our first episode of 2021 was Deep Purple Denmark 72.
Yeah, that would have been a fun live stream.
Yeah, and just thinking back to that, it's like we went from like doing that, how we do other episodes, and we've done other concert episodes to like almost the end of the year doing live streams, and everybody really enjoyed them, and that would have been a really cool one to have done on a live stream. But I mean, now we know for future ones, that live albums, more interactive seems to be something that people like, and it's enjoyable, for us too, because it's fun to have everybody chime in.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, because sometimes it's just a little bit during, especially if it's like a live jam, it's hard to maybe make that into like a regular episode. So I think we've kind of fallen into that way of doing it, and I think it'll work really well. Fielding says, also, I was exposed to so much more music than I expected to hear. The extended family has some amazing stuff, so I agree. Robert Ponser writes, love that you guys got to hang out in person. Obviously that was a huge highlight, actually getting to see each other and do this in person.
Oh yeah. I mean, what is better than like getting up and just being like, hey, we want to go record a couple of episodes. We don't have to go to work. We don't have to do anything. Just like mosey on down there, eat some Chicago mixed popcorn.
Well, I think the the big thing was, yeah, we both obviously had the time off of work because you were coming to visit. So it made it so that we had no other obligations really. The kids were at school and we were just like, go to the basement and record. And obviously that wouldn't, I think the time off of work, us syncing up time off of work was the biggest factor. Being here was just an added bonus.
Yeah.
But yeah, if we ever did that, we could do that. And if we ever, I mean, we basically try to squeeze in an episode every week whenever we can figure out when we're both not working or when we're available, and it's usually tough and it means late nights. But yeah, if we didn't have to work, it'd be really easy we could be like Scott Haskin and crack out 4 episodes a week.
I don't know if the two of us could equal one Scott. I don't know.
No, we'd need an additional members of our admin team to.
Yeah, he's got everything. Superhuman strength. Yeah.
What else we got here? Andrew Sunland writes, episode 90 to 137 so far. That's the highlight. So that's high praise, meaning all of our episodes. You're too kind. But yes, yeah. Thank you very much for that. Some more comments here. Here we go. Fielding Fowler writes about more favorites. Bobby Harrison Funkist episode from a musical standpoint. I really like that record. I still plan on buying it. Like many, the main pizza reviews is a favorite for unknown reasons. It should be a waste of time, but it was awesome. And the Black Country Christmas was by far my favorite. This is a comment that will, of course, be relevant soon. So I guess we can reveal that your Black Country Christmas did not happen this year, Fielding, but maybe soon. Yeah, that would be our 2022 Christmas episode, the Black Country Christmas. I mean, they don't have any Christmas songs, but I think he just wants us to. I think what he's getting at, and he's been hinting at for a while, is he wants us to cover some Black Country communion. So it'll come, but we're still kind of hovering in the 80s here. We got to get out of the 80s and the 90s and the zips.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff ahead of us. Maybe in 3 or 4 years.
Oh boy.
Unless they get back together and release a new album, and then we'd have to do it like as a live release. Well, I guess we wouldn't have to, but we could. All right. So yeah, that's some. Oh, I think I got another one here. Raf Calf. Yeah, we finally get to hear the early Whitesnake albums, which I love. I like the episodes that are a little outside the box, like the Doors Smackdown, the Who Did It Better episode, and Blackmore's Gibson. The shows about live albums had just a great atmosphere. I would agree.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, the Smackdown episode the other day, and thinking that we should do another one in that series, because I had that was my idea, so I was proud of it, because you come up with you come up with all the ideas, and I came up with that one last year, I think.
I don't come up with all the ideas.
Well, I mean, that was like the whole show was kind of my concept, and I thought it was cool, and I came up with like, all right, if we're going to do like starting in 68, and I think I did like a few years worth, because I didn't know how many we were going to do or how it was going to turn out. And
because we had kind of talked back and forth about what albums. So yeah, 1969's next. Maybe we can do that in the new year. You'll have to queue up what we should compare it to. So looking at the list of episodes, we started, like we said, the first episode of the year was a Deep Purple Denmark show. and the final episode of the year is this one. So what anything scanning through that list, is there anything that's jumping out to you as being a highlight?
Well, doing the Sabbath albums were like Born Again and Seventh Star were a lot of fun
We
because
did them both this year, right?
yeah, just because they're both those outsider albums in the Sabbath catalog, and we got to hang out with Rye, and the three of us together is always a lot of fun. We get to cover Gillan in one and Hughes in the other, so those were really a lot of fun. Jesus Christ Superstar, of course.
I'm hanging out with Paul, always a good time.
Yeah. I think like the guest host ones are always fun because they help break it up too, and it's just like having friends over, and it's not just the two of us talking. The Blizzard of Oz, of course, I mean, that skyrocketing up to the #1 album on the Deep Purple podcast obviously was, and I mean, I was really excited to do it because I mean, we have not made it a secret how much we love that album. And
it was worth all the and I'm thankful to everyone for sticking with us, even though they thought we were insane for making that #1.
And I mean, we've had more like we've done more of a stretch for like Deep Purple members or related Deep Purple members to in albums before us, but I mean, this one is like, I mean, everything from digging out my old tribute shirt to like you showing me the episode art and everything. I was just like, yes, this is the best. So
that was a lot of fun.
Easily, like, it's got to be my favorite, if not one of them. Let's see, looking at more of them. Let's see.
I think the Wizards convention episode is sticking out to me as being a fun, just because I love that album so much, and I think it was really fun breaking that one. I mean, it was kind of a standard traditional episode, no guest hosts, no frills, just a standard album review. But I had really been looking forward to that.
Yeah, I think the Wizards convention was good too. Only, also because I hadn't heard it, or the whole thing, in its entirety.
There were a few that you hadn't heard that weren't on the compilation.
And then, I mean, I think it goes without saying that like we mentioned before, like the episodes that we recorded like together in your house, and then the going to see the Dead Daisies was kind of like the culmination of our work to this point. That was a lot of fun for the reasons of not just that the episodes were fun and came out well, but that we got like a few days off of work and got to hang out together. And that was those were definitely highlights. But looking back at this, like just like I said, scanning the list, I would say those are probably my favorites. And if you think about it, they're all like the ones that are my favorites are the ones where we like had other people on guest hosts too. And I mean, we have more ideas for 2022, like, or I've already pitched a couple for getting on more people, like some familiar faces and some not so, and a couple of topics,
and some we've been talking about for years and just never gotten around to.
Or coordinating schedules can also be a thing.
And that's the other thing, is like there's some of them that, we were talking about doing like a big deep dive podcast network like joint show, but I was like, it's not going to be possible. there's no way we're going to get, I don't even know what the total number is. There's at least 8 shows and I don't know, 12 hosts or more located all over the world, and it's just, I don't think it's even conceivable that we would all be able to find a day that we're all definitely available. But what I was thinking is having something where we could all do kind of like what we did with T-Bone in the early days, is do like a pre-recorded bit about your show, and then do some sort of joint episode that we could all run on all of our streams as a bonus episode to get new listeners. So that might be something you'll see in the new year. If we can, even pulling that off might be difficult. But I mean, getting us all live together would be very hard.
Well, I mean, you've been a guest on a couple of shows this year, and I'm still like trying to coordinate for like 2 other podcasts,
exactly.
like to
And
be
that's
on,
just
and
and that's just you on another show, and it's like even that sometimes is hard. And
yeah,
even if you're just in the United States, but if you start talking to any of these guys in Europe and they're 6-7 hours ahead of you, it can be
yeah,
like, well, I'm at work by the time I get out of work, you've been asleep for 2 hours, unless you're, Jonathan, he never sleeps.
right.
He would make it a little bit, but even with him, we've been trying to do some stuff for a while, and it's just, it's hard because of getting all the schedules together. So yeah, in the new year, hopefully we'll be, seeing some more of that. That should be a lot of fun, because there's a lot. We've done the Deep Purple kind of, you're right, Heat episode. We did the Deep Purple Black Sabbath episode. So there's more other bands with strong connections there that we could do that would tie in with some of our other fellow podcasts. Just got to make it happen. All right. So then after that, we got predictions. So I just put it out there if anyone had any predictions they wanted to make, or well, basically if they wanted us to speculate on anything. And then what it ended up turning into is people asking us to speculate, and then people also speculating. So we can do both. We can speculate if they asked us to, and we can talk about their ideas as well. Who do we got here? Arthur Smith writes, what will David Coverdale do after the Whitesnake tour? Will we ever get a collaboration with Ritchie? What do you think?
I don't know. I don't think a collaboration with Ritchie is in the cards for anybody.
No, except for William Shatner. He's like, he won't collaborate with anybody, but it's like William Shatner asks him to he drops everything he's doing.
Oh my God, the hell.
Oh man.
No, he's an oddball. But yeah, no, I mean, I think David Coverdale will do the tour. I think he'll still work on the Whitesnake, and obviously he owns Whitesnake. Whether he has it keep going as an entity without him, or he does one-off shows, or maybe releases just studio albums but doesn't tour, like he'll be doing something. I would love to see him collaborate with Hughes again. I mean, those two are,
and they're, well, I guess we'll get to that one later, but yeah, that would be awesome. And I just yeah, I mean, it seems to be all the evidence is pointing towards Coverdale stepping back and being more like a CEO of Whitesnake or whatever it is. He's setting himself up, which I mean, why not? It's a brand, and it's something that you can do that way. I think there's a lot of negativity around that, but at the same time, it's just like, I mean, it's his entity. He can do whatever he wants with it. And also, he's 70 years old. He can't go on forever doing this. His voice can't do a lot of the things that he used to be able to do. So, and Kiss has been talking about that for years, right? Or there's been speculation for years about Kiss continuing on without Paul and Gene. And I think a lot of bands are getting to this point where people want the band, and then it becomes, something of a whatever. I don't know, like going to see Blue Man Group or the Beatles Love. It's not necessarily the band, but it's something that celebrates the music.
Well, right. I mean, I think at this point, a lot of the bands, like, you have to adapt with the times. And I think that a lot of bands that started out as bands like grassroots, 4 guys in a garage, or, type of thing. I mean, it's like these days, like you said, everything is more of a brand than it ever was. So, I mean, I don't think it'd be any different than like touring companies of Jesus Christ Superstar with different people, like musicals, or like, shows on the road, Vegas residencies and stuff like that. Like you said, Blue Man Group, even like Trans-Siberian Orchestra, aren't there like 10 different ones, like for each one for around the country? And
yeah, I'm not
something
sure
like that.
Probably.
Right. I mean, it's more like, I think that, eventually, like, in years to come, like us, the original fans of some of these, or even like 10-15 years older than us, our time will have passed, and the younger generation will be there, and they'll have never known the beginnings of the band, and all they'll know is kind of the touring entity, or the Broadway entity, or whatever. And they'll know the brand, and you'll still get the the music and the excitement and everything. And it won't be the same, but I mean, at least we were here to experience some of it.
Yep.
So
Yeah, I guess we'll see what happens. It's a new era and there's a new style. I was thinking about that the other day, is how common it is now to re-release albums with new features and all that sort of stuff, and that
yeah.
everyone takes that for granted. I don't know why that popped in my head, but I was thinking about it earlier, and I was trying to think of when did that start? When did people start doing that? Because obviously, even when we were, I mean, I guess when we were starting to get into music, they were just starting to, they would throw things onto CD and just get out there, like we've talked about before, with like the one page album cover with the white
Yeah.
background and no frills. So that was like new, but I don't know when it started to become the commonplace that like there seems to be. I mean, some of these albums have like 27 different versions and re-releases, and this one's got the bonus album, this one's a numbered one, and this one's got, even when everyone releases an album, like when they release Turning to Crime, you look at all the options. You're like, do you want the regular vinyl? Do you want the white vinyl? Do you want the clear vinyl? Do you want the one that's a 4 vinyl set or a 5 vinyl set with the extra bonus material? Do you want the regular CD? Do you want the CD digipack? Do you want the, there's so many different options. It's almost like mind boggling. You don't even know what you're ordering half the time for collectors. So,
Well, I think a lot of it too is, I'm sorry.
no, I was just gonna say, but people kind of accept that. They're just like, oh yeah, there's 27 different versions. I'm gonna get the new one every time it comes out. But yet they're like, oh, a band continuing when the members died, and there's still people bent out of shape, like, oh, it's not the same since John Lord died. It's like, but he died, and he's not coming. You know, you can say whatever you want about Ritchie coming back, which we all know will never happen. But John Lord definitely. Oh, I mean, maybe about the same odds as Ritchie, but neither of them are coming back. And if you know, how much longer does David Coverdale have? You know, when he passes away, you're going to be complaining it's not the same. Well, nobody ever said it was the same. So it's, if you either go watch it, enjoy it, or don't. I guess those are your two options.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the Ronnie hologram. You know, people got bent out of shape about it. I get it, but you don't have to go see it,
Yeah.
and there are no other options to see Ronnie James Dio, because
I mean,
is dead.
yeah, it wasn't, yeah, exactly. And it was not like seeing him live. I mean, it was
Sure.
weird because it was like hearing him live. And I mean,
Right.
I can say that I was part of that weird bit of history.
Yeah, right. Because that didn't last very long.
No, but I mean, I think too that a lot of these bands, like the demographic, is of the age where we can afford all those different, or most of us could afford to splurge on, you know, these things. That's why there's all those like cruises, Kiss Cruise, the,
Yep.
you know, 80s rock cruise, all these, you know, the friggin' Def Leppard cruise, like, you know, all this other stuff that happened is because the people that were like kids are now grown up, and, you know, we have incomes, and that's the type of vacation that a lot of people our age and older like to go on, and you get to be nostalgic and spend a lot of money and, you know, live it up and, you know, party like it was your, you know, I mean, your youthful years. And I mean, you know, I bet if they did a Deep Purple cruise, that would, you know, probably attract like a segment of people.
Well,
It would be a
they
niche
are
thing,
doing
you
one.
know. What?
Right after we see them in Florida, they're getting on a cruise boat,
Oh yeah,
cruise ship, cruise boat.
a cruise, but yeah, a pontoon.
It's a rowboat.
A pontoon. What are those things like the things in like Florida when they go to see the gators with the big fan on the back of, what is it, a fan boat?
Yeah,
Deep
like
Purple fan
they go
boat.
through the bayou. They're going through the looking for crocodiles. There's some hungry crocs
Crawdaddies,
in these waters.
crawfish.
But yeah, I mean, I think there's going to be a market for that moving forward, and I think people are just going to have to accept it. And like I said, if you know, like the people that got all upset about the Dio hologram, like there are no, you do not have any alternatives. It's not like seeing Ronnie live. Well, Ronnie is not live or alive. It's not going to happen. So, okay, so predictions. Where are we at? Okay, that was a David Coverdale question. Steve Hunt writes, I'd like to hear what songs from Whoosh and Turning to Crime you'd like the band to play at the February shows you're both seeing. Well, that's a good question. I would, you have any thoughts?
Well, based on Roger Glover's interview that we were referencing in that episode is that he predicts that they'll do maybe a song or two
Mhm.
from that, because I think one of the questions is this going to be like a Turning to Crime tour? And he's
Yeah.
like, no, I'm paraphrasing, but he's like, they haven't thought about it, but would probably do a song or two. I mean, I think I don't know, from Whoosh, probably I mean, nothing at all would be amazing.
I would like nothing at all, just to see what the heck. I think I talked about this in the episode. Like, what the heck are they doing?
Yeah.
How are they making it sound like that? Not that I would really
Right.
get the. I'd maybe have to get. I'd have to get on stage and like really stare. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing there? What? But not that would enlighten that would be like, oh, I see what you're doing. Okay, no, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back and grab my guitar and just bang that out real quick.
No, but just to see it live,
Yeah, just to see a lot. I think that would be a great one. Throw My Bones, I think, is a great song. I mean, the Power of the Moon. There's a lot of, I mean, those three probably are probably my top three from Whoosh, unless there's something I'm forgetting. I think those would be.
That's true. Yeah, I forgot about that. That was like the single, right? Throw My Bones, or the first one.
Yeah,
that
was
release.
That was the first single. Yeah. So yeah, I think that those would be really good. And what's the
Turning to Crime? I think
Step by Step. I would love to hear Step by Step. I think that was one of my favorites from the album. There's what Airey does on the keyboards and that solo and the trading off with Steve. That might be my favorite song on the album.
Yeah.
The more I think about it now. So yeah, and then for Turning to Crime, I think my favorite is 7 and 7 is. I think I really dig that song. I love what they did with it.
I was thinking the same thing.
I'd love to hear that.
Maybe the medley at the end, would kind of give you the most bang for your buck. Even if it wasn't as long as what they did on the record, like if they did like a shortened version of the medley doing all those songs, that's a way that they could work in like 3, 4, or 5 songs or whatever. Or even a medley of some of the songs, like the other songs on the album, like that one, the Rockin' Pneumonia.
Yep.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff they could do, instead of just choosing one song, but you don't know what they're thinking. So
Joe from Sabbath Fans writes, his prediction is that the dying robot will finally die. We shall see. Frederick Eck asks, next DP studio album, when? I mean, I don't know that they're going to have another one.
I mean,
Roger just turned 76.
Jeez.
Or 75?
Either way.
No, they both turned 76 this year. Ritchie turned 76, Ian and Roger. So,
wow.
I mean, I don't know. Like they're hitting the road on a tour. They're going to be all around. They're going to be going to Europe after that in 2022. It would have to be late 2022, early 2023 by the time they do it. So you're talking 77 or 78 years old to be getting in the studio. And I mean, I think the address thing kind of sealed it up that this was going to be their last real official album. Obviously, the world changed. They decided to do Turning to Crime. I think Turning to Crime is going to be their last album. I'd love to hear a new album of originals, but it's a lot of work, and I don't know when they're going to get. They might. I guess it depends how much they want to create new music versus be on the road touring.
Yeah, I don't know, because I mean, like look at the Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
I mean,
a few years older, but yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it is possible they could squeak out like one more album, but I mean, you never know what is going to happen when they stop touring, because if they are taking it easy, they could, they recorded this covers album from the comfort of their own studios, so to speak. I mean, what's to say they can't get together and like hole up and just kind of do it on their own timetable? I mean, without the rigors of like, like a deadline or a schedule or touring, they might, or they could just say, no, we're good. We want to retire.
Yeah, I mean,
Like, I'm
I
not
mean, and
sure.
not to get, not to be whatever grim or anything, but th- at any moment, something could happen to one of them. Like the one wrong step, they could, break a bone, be in the hospital, get some, some illness that would, not necessarily. I'm trying to be like dark, like they're going to die or anything, um, but anything could happen that could sideline them really, really quick. So I mean, God, look at how many times in the 70s they were sidelined when they were in their 20s with this malady and that one. So,
Mhm.
so who knows? Who knows what could possibly happen? Um, uh, Paul T. Guitarist writes a studio album with all new original material in the first half of the year. Well, Paul, I think you're being a little I don't,
Ambitious.
and a little ambitious. That'd be great. I mean, I'd always love to hear. I love hearing new music. To me, I love the studio aspect of things. I just don't think that one's in the cards.
I mean, also another one is like maybe more realistic is the certain members guesting on other tracks, or maybe a solo album from one of them.
Sure. Yep.
You know, could be like I'd see like a Don Airey solo album, or Roger Glover playing on a track, or you know, Gillan singing on a track. You know, for who I wouldn't know, but you know, it's just it sounds like doing projects instead of like, you know, putting all of their work into like a project for them would be more, you know, their speed after they decide to, you know, call it a day for touring. But you never know. Yeah, Ian Pace playing drums, you know, on a track, or you know,
Yeah, I mean, he just did that track with DMX, so
yeah.
any anything could happen. That was
I mean,
fairly recently.
I feel like I feel like I see Steve Morse and Don Airey and Roger Glover being the most likely to stay active or do like solo albums.
Yeah. Oh, well, Steve Morse is, 15 years younger than them or so, 14, 15 years
True.
younger. So yeah, he's got probably a little bit more time that he's going to be working on it. Although he's had his own challenges with his, I think he has arthritis and problems with his wrist or whatever. So yeah, but I mean, they're all playing great, and they all look really good. I mean, Gillan looks better than God, he looked better than he looked on the House of Blue Light tour. You know what I mean? He looks healthier and like kind of with it. He's like he just looks like he's in really good shape. Roger looks like he's good. Ian Pace had that scare a few years ago. Did he have a stroke or something? But like a minor stroke. But I mean, they're all looking really good. But you never know what's going to happen. Francisco Jose just wishes all the best for Deep Purple, as we do as well. Michael Joseph Music says, will they re-release Born Again, please? What do you think, John?
You know, I'm hopeful, because I have what was it, like right after our Born Again episode, and we were talking about it, which everybody
Yeah.
always talks about the mix of the album and everything.
Mm-hmm.
They were talking about like, oh, the master tapes were found.
It's just like Tony Iommi's were walking around, I was like, trips. Oh, what's this? What's this sticking out from under the bed?
What's in that old coat pocket?
Blows all the dust off of it. Oh my God, it's the reels for Born Again. I've been looking everywhere for these.
We keep, you know, Tony puts on that old, like, you know, fringe leather jacket, and he reaches in the pocket. He's like, oh, what's this? A 20? An old hanky? Oh no, wait, the Masters for Born Again.
I've worn this jacket since 1983.
Let me dust that off. But
here's a receipt from Zaire, and the Born Again Masters. My goodness.
But what a coincidence. And I actually had heard I've heard like more than a couple of times this year on other podcasts, like people speculating about that and hearing. And I don't know that I heard an actual interview, or actually maybe I did with Tony Iommi.
He's had a few where he's mentioned, he's like, oh, I'd really like to fix that up.
Where he said he'd like to fix it up, but I've heard somewhere like they have found the masters like that could be remixed and remastered.
I think that's been confirmed. Yep.
Which that's one that I would like. I don't buy a lot of albums. Like, actually, I don't buy anything anymore. I stream everything, but that is one that I would buy.
Oh yeah, I would buy it. And if it does, I guess the promise is if that does happen we'll give Rye a call, see if he's available, and we'll do
we're re-reviewing it.
we'll re-review it. And I mean, that would be incredible to hear. Will it happen this year? I don't know. I don't know what Tony Iommi has on his plate.
Well, like we always say too, like the clock is ticking on everybody. I mean, and we also don't know if like Iommi has been teasing this for like, or maybe not teasing it, but like it's been mentioned, or he's even talked about it for several months. That who's to say that it hasn't already been in the works?
Well, right. I mean, you would think with something like that, you give it to some hotshot producer or some even engineer or whatever, and say, hey, just get this all set up, clean it up, make it tweak everything the way you think it should be tweaked, EQ this, whatever. And then Tony Iommi walks in and says, okay, well, tweak this a little more. Like, Tony Iommi's not coming in there and like lifting the boxes and setting up the reel. You know what I mean? Like, somebody gets that, like, because why would he? That's a waste of his time. Get somebody to set it up, say, this is sounding really good to me. What do you think? Tweak this, tweak that, send me a rough mix, check it out, and then we'll master it. So, I mean, I would assume it could get done fairly quickly. It just depends on how much. I mean, I think there's enough of a cult following for this album too, that they'd sell quite a few copies.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, for
find
Sabbath fans alone,
dig through, find some photos from that tour, bundle it with like a nice live performance of that lineup. So you're getting like, you've got your vinyl edition, but you've got your, your edition that's got the regular album, and then the edition that's got a live show with it. Find some old vintage photographs from that era, make a nice booklet. I mean, people would just eat that up. I'm definitely one of them.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, he had recently, in the past couple of years, I think, had remixed. What was it? It was one of the Tony Martin albums. I think it was Forbidden.
I think so, yeah. Yep.
Right. And he had talked about wanting to remaster it because sonically it didn't come out the way he originally wanted it to. And he thought there were a lot of good songs on it, blah, blah, blah. So that he's into the idea of doing that with the catalog, kind of the same as Coverdale is with the Whitesnake stuff. It's just a matter of how we've always heard that, the original tapes for Born Again have been like just unusable or whatever, but maybe something has been discovered. Maybe there's a way, maybe they've been working on it. I mean, technology is to the point now where it's like, maybe they were, they're able to do something. Maybe it isn't even the originals. They were able to separate out the audio where they could, make it like it was, the raw tracks again. I don't even know, it's like, if they can, if there can be like a TikTok account with a fake Tom Cruise on it that looks absolutely real. Have you seen this?
No.
It's called, I think it's called Deep Tom Cruise.
Oh yeah, it's like one of those deep fakes.
Yeah, and it's like, and I've seen some of it, and I'm just like, it blows my mind that there's that kind of technology where you can have it like on a social media app, like a guy that like it doesn't even look like. I mean, I'm sure that if you have a more discerning eye than me,
no, it looks 100% real. Like I haven't seen that one, but I've seen others where you're just like, you watch it and wow, like I can't believe this is. I mean, you hear what they're saying and you're like, there's no way this is real. But I mean, how easy would it be to trick people with that? It looks 100% real.
Right, right, real, and so right, so you're just like, okay, so like times that, multiply that budget by like $1 million, and they do it in movies and TV shows, everything else. So why can't they do that with music?
Well, they've done a lot of stuff. I think that the problem with Born Again is they've done a lot of work in recent years with like teaching AI to listen for what a bass sounds like and what this sounds like, and they talk about it a lot about the making of the Get Back documentary by the Beatles. They trained the AI to say like, this is what Paul McCartney's bass sounds like, this with this, and they able to separate that all out and listen to these tracks, even though this are things that were recorded all at the same time or whatever, and they're not separated tracks. The problem with Born Again is you could teach it what the drums are and separate out the drums. It's not about separating the drums. It's the part that the drums, the way they were recorded, sounds bad. So how do you EQ it on top of that? If you had the actual raw drum recording and could EQ it from there, you might get better. It'd be a lot easier than trying to do it after the fact. But even still, you could probably do it. But I don't get the impression that's the thing. I think they have the actual master tape, so I think that's what we'll hear is a good remaster. And I mean, it doesn't
Well,
need a lot. It's a really good album, but
oh
it
yeah, I mean,
needs it needs a lot of cleaning up and EQing, but it's
we've pretty much said that we've embraced, for the most part, the sound of it, and that, after a while it's almost like Stockholm syndrome. You
yeah.
start to like identify with it. You're just like, it's not that bad, or like it becomes into like certain songs it's endearing, like, oh, I can't imagine it without that muddy sound or whatever. But it's like
Maybe we'll be able to hear the flute.
Right, exactly. I just think that it would be interesting and exciting, because that's one of those cult albums. And I mean,
Yep.
we already know that, like, by us loving Come Taste the Band and albums like that, Mark III and Mark IV being our favorite lineup, that, kind of those fringe albums or those cult favorites are some of our favorites. So getting excited about artists putting their time and effort into kind of like revisiting it and reimagining it, or this is the way, this is it, like, all brand new and shiny and everything, is just a really exciting concept, kind of like, even more so than like hearing demos, because like if we have a demo for this, or like like not even unheard demos, like demo versions for songs that I know really well are always exciting, because I'm just like, oh, I want to hear what it was when it was like raw and they were thinking it out and everything.
Oh yeah.
Like, I mean, imagine just being like, wow, this is what Born Again would sound like if it got like really great production. Like, wow, let's do it.
Yeah, that'd be great. There'll probably be some diehards that don't want it, but I think for the most part, everyone agrees it's not a great sounding. It's kind of like And Justice for All, although they refuse to do a remaster of that where you can actually hear the bass. I don't know why, but I know there's been talk about it before, but I think I don't know. It's very
I've heard
confusing.
some like reimaginings of that too, like on YouTube. Like,
Or
have you
people
ever
have
heard like
EQ'd it so you can actually hear it. Yeah,
or
Injustice for
or they
Jason is one of
yeah,
them.
yeah. Which I don't know if it was EQ'd or if somebody just played the bass over it or whatever. But I mean, I've heard a couple of songs and I'm like, it's actually pretty good.
Well,
When
yeah,
you
it's
have a
kind of like
prominent bass track on
when
it.
we listened to Highway. Oh no, sorry, we didn't do that one yet. That episode hasn't come out yet. Disregard. Well, you'll see it soon. But sometimes you hear like when we did a certain when you listen to do an isolated track, you can say like, wow, I didn't realize there was that much going on this track. It just kind of faded into the background. And then when we did our Burn episode, you hear what they are all doing individually, and then when you hear the song as a whole again, you can actually pick out on those parts a lot better.
Right. Or when Coverdale we did the shishi.
Yeah, now I hear that every time. I can't unhear it, and I never heard that before we listened to the isolated tracks.
Mm-hmm.
Last prediction. Simon Berglund says, will David Coverdale's Whitesnake and Northwinds finally get released to Spotify? I'd bet no, sadly.
You never know, because I mean, didn't he recently reacquire the rights to them?
Yeah, within like the last couple of years, and he's got all of his other Whitesnake on stuff on Spotify.
So I mean, I think it's a possibility. I mean, I know a lot of artists aren't crazy about it because they don't make any money, but I mean, at the same time, he has, like the Purple album and some of his newer, remixed albums have been released on there too. But I mean, he must be making enough off of the way that he's packaging them, and selling the physical product, to not be too worried about that. But I mean, if he were to re-release it like on like vinyl or something, even, I mean, that would be really cool. And vinyl is like really big right now, even though it's like backlogged.
Right. Well, I think he will definitely do some sort of special edition release of it, remastered or whatever. I don't usually with that stuff, I don't really care so much about the remastering. It's more like what comes with it, the booklet and all that information that's in it. But yeah, it'd be cool. I don't know, will it come out this year? I don't know, but I think when he does, like all of his other stuff, he's remastered and done the blues album, the rock album, all that stuff has come out on Spotify the same day. So I would assume if he does, he'll put it on there too. And I'm sure the diehard Coverdale fans out there like us will buy the physical copy as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's it for predictions. Anything else you wanted to predict before we wrap up the episode?
Um, I predict that I will have a new wonderful studio to record in here in
Yes.
2022. I mean, I have the whole setup behind me. Anybody that's watching the video can see the ridiculous way that I have the mic set up on the
Hey,
on the
we can hear you.
on the on the arm here. I have a big monitor behind my laptop. I have a new computer that's unplugged over here next to the laptop. I'm transitioning. I'm finally like redoing the room to match the podcast, because when I did this room and I got my my laptop, I swapped out like an old desktop for a laptop. I didn't know that I would be doing this, and now it's once or more a week of us doing this, and it's a great and fun hobby and way to spend my time and outlet and everything. And now I'm just like, okay, I'm really gonna invest a little bit of time and money into making a space and getting some equipment where I can do this right and be comfortable doing it. And
Yep.
and easier for us too, because you've put little tags at the end of the episodes where sometimes we're us talking before or after, and sometimes it's our frustration of like what's happening with the equipment, or we have so many malfunctions. And
literally, like, record the last episode, leave, don't even touch anything for like an entire week, come down, and then just try to set everything up. It's like, oh, this isn't working, that's not working. Like
the last
I've not
time
touched a single thing.
I didn't touch anything. I walked away from this desk and didn't touch anything for a week, came back, and I'm like, I had to like call you and be like, my microphone's not working. Like, I don't know what's happening. All I hear is like, I'm like,
it's always something.
And you're like, yep, that's how it happens.
Well, I would like to predict that I should have split up our patrons and in between the predictions and the highlights, but since I didn't, I would like to thank our core level patrons coming in at the $7.77 Keep It Warm Rat tier. We have Michael Vader. At the episode $6.66 tier, we have Steve Coldwell, Arthur Smith, and Anton Glaving. At the $6.65 tier, we have the Almost Evil tier of Kenny Wymore. At the $5.99 Nice Price tier, we have Fielding Fowler and Robert Smith. And at the $5 Money Lender tier, we have John Convery, German Heindel, Adrian Hernandez, Jesper Alman, Alexi, The Perfect Stranger Slepikoff, James North, Mark Hodgetts, Kev Roberts, courtesy of his wonderful children, Matthew, Gareth, and Sarah, Will Porter, Zwapper, The Electric Alchemist, and Tim Southern Gross Johnson. Thank you so much to all of you. And we've got we'll thank our I guess we just go right into thanking our other patrons, right? Let's go right into it. At the $3.33 Halfway to Evil tier, we've got Raf Calf. At the $3 Nobody's Perfect tier, we have Peter Gardeau, Ian DeRosier, Mark Roback, Duncan Leask, Stuart McCord, Flight of the Rat Bat Blue Light. And at the $1 Made Up Name tier, we have the Baby New Year's Leaky Diaper of Final Resting Places, Leaky Mausoleum, Stephen Somerville, the Concerto 1999 Fanatic, Spike the Rock Cat, JJ Stenard, Hank the Tank, Private Eyes, and Ashen Lionel. Thank you so much to all of you for your generous support of the Deep Purple podcast. Oof, another year in the bag, John. Can you believe it?
Wow. So we're going into year 3.
Well, we started in 2019, so year 4. Well, year 4, but we're going to be coming on the 3 years. It'll be the 4th year we've been podcasting in, but in April will be our 3-year anniversary coming up.
Wow.
You know, right?
We're going to have an anniversary extravaganza.
Yes. We've talked about it. Well, what we talked about before wasn't really an extravaganza. We were talking about maybe doing like a recalibration where we like kind of record an episode that could be kind of like a primer for the Deep Purple podcast, what the show's about, that we could also use to replace our original episode in the in our RSS feed, so that new people that listen to the show could get a better, because that's still our most listened to episode, and I haven't listened to it since it came out, so I don't know if it, if we could talk about, because when we did that episode, we were just kind of like, hey, let's talk about Deep Purple and what we're going to do, but it would be cool to have like a little thing somebody could listen to before all the episodes to say like, this is what the show is really like, and talk about, you know what I mean, what you expect if you're going to listen to the show.
Well, I don't know if I would want to go back and and tinker with it, because I mean, it wasn't the best, but I mean, it was our beginning.
I think we could leave it there, like leave it in the feed, but like beforehand be like, okay, here's what the show is all about. If you care to, after this, you can listen to our first episode. You know what I mean? But I mean, we'll see. It'd be good, because you don't really, I don't know that the show's changed all that much as far as like I think we've been pretty consistent in what we've been doing, but I think from a listener standpoint, we can kind of anticipate other, like, hey, if you don't like people talking over music, go listen to the album. Don't listen to this. You know what I mean? Stuff like that.
Right.
Which is always funny to me. Like, oh, you guys were talking over the music. Like, why are you listening to us then? Go Google Machine Head, and you can listen to it any one of a number of ways. You don't.
You knew who I was when you took my hand.
That's always baffling to me, how anyone could be like, shh, I'm trying to listen to the music. Like, why are you listening to our podcast? That's not what this is. Like, I know other podcasts do the thing where they stop the music and talk and then start it back up. Like, a lot of podcasts do that as well, and they get comments too, like, oh, you stopped it right at a good part, or you didn't just leave it playing. Like, that's not what this is.
Easy enough to go back and listen to it after the episode and like hear it for yourself.
Yeah, but also, I get the impression that it's usually on stuff that we've like already, that people already know. It's usually stuff like, you talked over that really good guitar solo. Like, yeah, that's what we do.
You talked over Smoke on the Water. Like, oh, you don't know how that one goes yet?
That was my opportunity to hear it. Finally.
There's no other opportunities to hear it. It's so rare.
Never encountered this one. But anyway, I'd say, oh my goodness, I can't drive. I've finished this entire can of ginger ale, so I guess I'm gonna have to crash here in the studio. I can't drive home.
Oh boy, you need any help going up the stairs?
Yeah, I might have to call somebody. But can you? How long will it take you to get here? Can you come and help me up the stairs? You probably be here in like 6 or 7 hours.
Red eye, 6 or 7 hours. So I'll see you then.
I'll just be lying at the bottom of the stairs in a ginger ale stupor. But yes, happy New Year, John. To another great 2022 ahead.
Can't wait to see what happens for 2022. Maybe by this time next year, we'll be talking about how we don't have to wear masks anywhere anymore.
That would be fantastic.
And that, COVID is just a sniffle.
Yes. Well, let's hope.
Yes.
And let's see, what will our first episode of 2022 be? Nobody knows. It'll be exciting to find out, though. So tune in to us next week when we're in 2022, coming at you with something Deep Purple related.
Or tangentially related.
Or tangentially related.
Knowing us.
Yeah, probably not. It won't be Deep Purple proper, but it will have some relevance to Deep Purple. All right. Happy New Year, John.
You too.
Thank you for listening to the Deep Purple podcast. If you like what you hear and would like more episodes in the future, please donate on Patreon to support the show. You can also leave us a review in Apple Podcasts to help new people discover the show. You can follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook for show updates. See deeppurplepodcast.com for more details. Thank you for listening.